One of my favorite cartoons, and still is to this day, is Darkwing Duck. This was a fantastic show for so many reasons. The humor was smart. The concept was pretty funny. The characters were great. The villains were great. The situations were great. This is a show that if I'm feeling down, I will look it up on YouTube and have a good chuckle over jokes I didn't get as a kid, and find out all over again why I loved the show as I did. But I think the number one thing everyone can agree on, if you ask why people like this show, is the relationship between Drake and Gosling. I don't think people back then understood how important this kind of show was because, on the surface, it's Duck in a superhero costume. But more importantly, many episodes were about a father, single father, mind you, who adopted a young child. This is a relationship we don't see that often in TV anymore. We have nuclear families, mom, dad, siblings. And whenever we do see a single parent, it's usually a blood child with them. This was something kind of revolutionary. He adopted her, and they didn't always get along, of course. What father and child always gets along? They had fights, and they had struggles because of their really superhero conflict. But it always ended up okay because they had each other and they loved each other and they didn't necessarily need a mother figure. And I love that so much. It shows you don't need a mother in your life to be happy. It shows that you don't even need you don't need blood relatives to be happy either. Real parenting, real love, comes from bonds within, the bonds you make, bonds you work towards. And it was so obvious with each episode how much they cared for each other. This was unconventional for the time. And I think in this day and age it's still unconventional. Which is why I was so glad when the comic books came out. Because they had a chance for the older audience to help the younger audience introduce themselves to this amazing world and this relationship that, again, isn't seen so often. I loved this show. I actually had a little crush on Launchpad, but that was Silver from DuckTales too. I loved Morgana. I've always loved the hero-villain coupling, even though we never really got to see her transformation from good to evil. Something I've always headcanoned in my mind. And this was an unconventional family, like I said again. Launchpad like an uncle, Morgana eventually becoming like a mother figure. None of this is more normal, and yet that's why it worked, because there is really no such thing as a normal family. And the more times we get to see that on TV, with Gravity Falls and their two kids with their grunkle, with shows and movies showing that you don't have to stay with who you think your blood is, like Tangled and Hunchback of Notre Dame. Shows and movies like these help define what a family is. And I wish that more cartoons had the same kind of influence and messages that Darkwing Duck did. And even though the comics have ended, I don't think that's the last we'll see of them, because, let's face it, he's iconic now. He is a large part of many childhoods. He had his own show back in Disney World for a time. I think I remember seeing it when I was a child. And what can I say? Frake himself is a great character. Gosling is a great character. They're full of humor and reality and just fun. It was a fun, wonderful show about a real family of ducks. And if I could just, again, talk about why we have to accept that animal shows, as I like to call them, and animal characters like Mickey and Minnie can't be geared towards an older audience. Why? The outside is different, but the inside, it's all the same. And the outside body is just a new way to experience things. And I hope for future animators they keep this in mind when creating new shows, when creating new families. I hope that they've watched Darkwing Duck and other great Disney afternoon shows and showed just, you know, the power of family and what family ultimately means.